When you hear homeowners association, you probably think of neatly trimmed lawns, gated communities, and monthly fees. But what if I told you HOAs were never just about curb appeal? What if I told you they were specifically designed to keep certain people out and they're still doing it today? Let's talk about the racist roots of HOAs and how they've evolved into powerful tools of control and what we can do to push back. So, HOAs in America were born out of segregationist policies. In the early 20th century, white developers created racially restrictive covenants, legal clauses in deeds that explicitly barred Black people, Asians, Latinos, Jews, and other minorities from buying or occupying homes. These covenants were often enforced by HOAs and neighborhood associations. So in 1948, the Supreme Court ruled in Shelley versus Kramer that courts couldn't enforce racial covenants, but it didn't stop HOAs from finding new ways to discriminate. So after legal segregation ended, HOAs adapted. They began enforcing exclusion through zoning laws, design restrictions, income requirements, and by creating private rules that couldn't be challenged the same way public laws could. So, this privatized governance model allowed HOAs to continue excluding people of color, renters, lower income families, even people with disabilities, under the guise of maintaining property values. Today, HOAs are weaponized in more subtle but equally harmful ways. They fine residents into foreclosure, block access to amenities, and selectively enforce rules. In predominantly white or affluent neighborhoods, HOAs are used to keep out undesirables. In gentrifying areas, they're used to silence dissent and push out longtime residents. If you've ever dealt with an HOA that felt more like a dictatorship than a community, you're not alone. Again, HOAs have a dark history, one rooted in racism, exclusion, and now property theft. My name is Latasha Johnson, along with my mother, Pearline Johnson, and we've spent nearly 5 years fighting a corrupt, self managed HOA called Stratford House on the Lake Board right here in Chicago, Illinois. We simply asked the Stratford House on the Lake Board for financial transparency, and they retaliated by illegally trying to evict us from our own home. Trust and believe we immediately filed a counterclaim that has yet to be adjudicated. We're not alone. This is happening across Chicago and especially in Cook County's eviction courts. Judges, lawyers, HOA boards, they're all working together to weaponize fraudulent fines and steal homes. We've been harassed, retaliated against, and ignored, while those sworn to uphold the law protect the criminals instead. And it's time we expose this system for what it really is. We demand a federal investigation into Chicago Cook County's eviction courts, a full review of cases where illegal evictions occurred, a forensic audit of all self managed HOAs in Cook County, mandatory video recordings of all court hearings, no more transcript tampering, accountability for judges and attorneys complicit in corruption, a public hearing where victims can finally speak freely. And to all the people who say, oh, well, you never should have bought into an HOA, you clearly do not understand how city housing works. In Chicago, if you want to buy a condo, you're forced automatically into an HOA. And there is no other option. Okay. Not everyone can afford a house in the suburbs, and not everyone wants to spend 2 hours in traffic just to get to work. Okay. So stop blaming the victims and start blaming the system. I hope you take time and consider to signing our petition, sharing this video, email and tag government officials, journalists, anyone in the media, and speak up, because what's happening in Chicago could happen to you next. We bought homes, not nightmares, and it's time to fight back.